Disclaimer: this content is intended for mature audiences only. Viewer discretion is advised. It was one of those slow, golden evenings where the house felt extra quiet and warm, sunlight slipping through the blinds and brushing softly against the walls. I was lounging on the couch, wearing nothing but one of Al's old work shirts. It still smelled like him, faint cologne, engine grease, and that familiar warmth that always made me feel safe. I had no idea what kind of mood he'd be in when he came home from work, but something about today felt different. Maybe it was the way the air felt charged, like something was about to happen. Al had been working extra hours all week, putting in overtime to finish some major project at the auto shop he ran downtown. We'd barely had time together, passing each other like whispers in the hallway, quick kisses, sleepy hugs, the occasional playful wink before bed. But under all that quiet was something building. We both felt it. And today, neither of us would be able to ignore it any longer. The sound of his truck pulling into the driveway snapped me out of my thoughts. I sat up, heart thudding a little faster than usual. His boots hit the steps, heavy and certain, and when the door opened, he didn't say a word. Just walked in, his eyes locking on me like I was the only thing in the world he needed right then. There was a fire in his eyes, something intense, something deeply familiar but also new. He shut the door behind him slowly, and I noticed the slight smirk tugging at the edge of his mouth. "I didn't think you'd still be up," he said, voice low and husky, the kind he only used when we were completely alone. His gaze traveled down my legs and back up to my face, and I felt my cheeks flush. "Wearing my shirt, huh? You trying to make me lose my mind?" I laughed softly, trying to play it cool, but inside my stomach was flipping. "It was comfy," I said. "And it smells like you." That was all it took. In 2 quick steps, he was in front of me, pulling me gently to my feet. His hands slid around my waist, rough from work but always so careful with me. "You've been waiting for me like this," he murmured, leaning down so our foreheads touched. I could barely breathe. I nodded slowly, biting my lip, unsure of what he was going to do next. And then, without warning, he scooped me up into his arms, carrying me straight past the living room, past the hallway, and into the bedroom. No hesitation. No words. Just the kind of silence that says everything. But just when I thought I knew what was about to happen, he paused. His expression changed, something flickered behind his eyes. He looked toward the nightstand, and froze. What he saw there made him stop cold, and suddenly, the energy in the room shifted. Al stared at the nightstand like he'd just seen something that didn't belong. His arms were still wrapped around me, but his grip loosened slightly. I followed his gaze, confused. Lying right there, almost hidden under a book, was a small velvet box. My heart skipped. I hadn't seen it before, and from the way he looked at it, neither had he. He gently set me down on the bed, his brow furrowed. Did you find that today?" he asked, voice lower now, more careful. I shook my head slowly, unsure of what to say. "No. I thought it was yours." His jaw clenched slightly, like something he was holding in suddenly got tighter. But instead of explaining, he walked over and picked up the box, turning it over in his hand like he didn't know what to expect from it. The room got quiet, that kind of quiet where you feel every second stretch long. Then, without opening it, he placed the box back down carefully, like it was something fragile. He turned back to me, and though his expression softened, something was still unsettled in his eyes. "I was gonna give that to you next week," he finally said, his voice barely above a whisper. "For our anniversary." I thought I hid it better than that. I blinked, not knowing whether to feel touched or guilty. "I really didn't see it until just now." "I believe you," he said quickly, sitting down beside me. "It's not that. I've had this whole plan, you know? Something simple but special. And now, It's like the moment's already cracked open. We both laughed a little, the tension breaking just slightly, but not all the way. There was still that feeling between us, the kind that comes after too many nights apart and too many thoughts left unspoken. I looked at him, really looked, and realized how tired he looked, how much he was carrying in those strong shoulders. Not just work stress, but something deeper. Something he hadn't shared yet. "You've been quiet lately," I said softly. "Even before this week." He nodded, running a hand through his hair. "There's something going on at the shop. It's nothing dangerous, just confusing. And I didn't want to bring it home until I had answers." His voice trailed off again, and I could see it in his eyes. He was hiding more than he was letting on. I reached out and gently touched Al's arm, feeling the tension just beneath his skin. He didn't pull away, but his eyes stayed on the floor like there was something down there he couldn't stop thinking about. "Al," I said, my voice soft, "you don't have to carry everything by yourself. I'm here. Whatever's going on, we face it together, remember?" He looked up at me then, his expression softening just a little, but still shadowed with worry. "It's not just the shop," he admitted. "Something's off. There've been strange things happening, orders getting messed up, clients saying they never booked appointments we confirmed, tools going missing. And yesterday, someone broke into the office." My heart tightened. "What? Did they take anything?" He shook his head. "That's the weird part. Nothing was stolen. Just, papers moved around, drawers open. Like they were looking for something specific." A chill crawled up my spine. "Did you tell the police?" "I filed a report. But they didn't take it seriously. Said maybe I forgot to lock up. But I know I did." He paused, fingers raking through his hair. "And today, I found a note on my windshield." He hesitated, pulling a folded piece of paper from his jacket pocket and handing it to me. My hands trembled a little as I opened it. The message was printed in blocky letters: "Some things are better left unfixed." My stomach turned. "What does that mean?" "I don't know," he said quietly. "But it's not about the shop. It feels personal." I looked at him, seeing the way the stress had settled into his face, the way his shoulders drooped just a little more than usual. And underneath all that worry, I saw the same man who made me laugh when I was having the worst days, who brought me coffee in bed just because, who would rather be tired than let me carry groceries alone. This wasn't just a random workplace issue. This was something deeper. And someone clearly wanted him rattled. He stood up and started pacing slowly. "There's a guy, Mike. He used to work with me until last year. We had a falling out. He wanted to cut corners, push shady deals through. I said no. Fired him when I caught him messing with customer invoices. He didn't take it well. You think he's behind this?" "I don't have proof," Al said, rubbing his temples. "But it feels like something he'd do. Sneaky. Psychological. Like he's trying to get into my head." I stood up and wrapped my arms around him from behind, pressing my cheek to his back. He stilled for a moment, then reached down and held my hands gently. "I just don't want this to touch you," he whispered. "You're the only good thing that keeps me going right now." The words settled between us, heavy and warm. But even as he held me close, I couldn't help but wonder, if this was just the beginning, what was waiting around the corner? Al didn't sleep much that night. I could feel the way his body stayed tense beside me, every now and then shifting like his thoughts wouldn't let him rest. I lay there quietly, trying to steady my own breath, afraid that if I spoke, it might crack the fragile calm we'd managed to hold on to. The note, the velvet box, his unease, it all looped in my mind like a slow-burning fuse, waiting to hit something explosive. By morning, the air felt heavier. Al left early, saying he needed to double-check the security cameras and talk to a guy he trusted at the parts supplier. I offered to go with him, but he kissed my forehead and told me to stay home, that he'd feel better knowing I was safe here. That word, safe, kept echoing long after the door closed behind him. Around noon, I heard a knock. It wasn't forceful. Just two short, calm knocks. But it was enough to make my pulse jump. I wasn't expecting anyone. I peered through the window and saw a man in a dark hoodie standing on the porch, head down, hands in his pockets. My heart pounded. I didn't open the door. Hello? I called through the door, trying to keep my voice steady. No answer. He just stood there. Then, slowly, he looked up at the peephole, his face half shadowed by his hood, and gave a smile that made my stomach twist. And then he walked away. Just like that. No words, no threat. Just the kind of silence that feels louder than shouting. I called Al immediately, but it went to voicemail. I tried again and again. Nothing. Hours passed. Sunset came, and still no word. My nerves were a mess. I kept pacing, checking my phone, glancing out the window. Finally, around 7, I heard his truck. I ran to the door, but when I opened it, it wasn't just Al. 2 police officers stood beside him. Al's jaw was tight, his eyes flicking to me with something that looked like both relief and regret. They found something at the shop, he said, voice tense. Something that doesn't make sense. And they think whoever's been messing with me, they might not be working alone. My breath caught. The pieces weren't just random anymore. They were part of something bigger. And whatever it was, it had just stepped out of the shadows. The moment the police stepped inside, I could feel the shift in the air, like whatever thin line of comfort we had left was about to snap. Al hadn't said much since he got out of the truck. His hands stayed close to mine, though, a silent tether as the officers looked around the house. One of them, a younger guy with calm eyes, asked if anything strange had happened here today. I hesitated, then told them about the man in the hoodie. Al's jaw tightened, his thumb rubbing circles into the back of my hand. The officers exchanged a glance. "We've been reviewing footage from the shop's back lot," the older one said. "There was someone there last night, moving between the cars. He knew where the blind spots were." Al's voice was low. "Mike. We can't say for sure," the officer replied. "But this person left something behind, an envelope with your name on it. We haven't opened it yet. Thought you should be the one to do that." My chest tightened. Al reached out and took the envelope from him. It was plain, sealed with black tape, and had only one word written in blocky pen, Al. He opened it slowly, fingers trembling just a bit. I leaned in to see the note. It wasn't a threat. It wasn't even a message. It was a photo. Of me. Taken from inside our house. Through the bedroom doorway. Wearing Al's shirt. Sitting on the couch that day he came home early. I gasped, hand flying to my mouth. Al froze, his face going pale. "This was taken from inside," I whispered. "That means someone was here." The officers started moving quickly, asking about windows, locks, security. But all I could think about was the quiet knock, the way that man looked right at the peephole. He wasn't just lurking. He wanted us to know. And now, we were no longer just guessing. We were being watched. Al turned to me, his eyes full of guilt and fear. "I should have seen this coming," he said. "I thought I was protecting you by keeping you in the dark. But they were already in." I felt like the walls of the house had just shrunken around us. And then his phone buzzed. A text. No name. Just a number he didn't recognize. "You were never meant to keep her. She deserves better." Al stared at it, jaw clenched, his hands trembling. I could feel the heat rise in my chest, the fear twisting into something else, something protective, angry, raw. Who the hell thinks they get to decide that? I said, my voice breaking. We didn't know it yet, but that message was more than just a warning. It was a challenge. Someone was coming for more than just his shop. They were coming for what we had, our relationship, our home, and everything that connected us. Al didn't waste another second. He handed the photo and the phone to the officers, who immediately started tracing the number. I stood close, watching his every move, trying to steady my breath. I'd never seen him like this, sharp, focused, but rattled deep down. The fear wasn't for himself. It was for me. That truth wrapped around me tighter than any hug ever could. While the officers stepped outside to call backup, Al grabbed his keys and looked at me. I think I know where he is, he said. Mike used to hang out at this abandoned lot near the old tire plant. If he's watching us, he's somewhere familiar, close. I followed him, refusing to stay behind. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, casting a reddish hue across the sky as we pulled into the lot. It was quiet, too quiet. Broken glass shimmered on the ground, weeds growing up through the cracks. And then, in the corner of the lot, we saw a car. Not just any car, my car. It had been missing for a week. Al told me it had been towed for repairs, but that was just to keep me calm. Seeing it here now, half covered with a tarp, made everything click. This wasn't random. Mike had been tracking us. Watching. Waiting. Al approached slowly, calling out. Mike. Enough games. A shadow shifted behind the building, and a man stepped out. Tall, lean, worn out. Mike. He held up his hands. Didn't come here to fight, he said, though his tone said otherwise. Just wanted you to feel what it's like to lose control. Like I did. Like I still do. You messed with my wife, Al growled. This isn't about business anymore. Mike smirked, but his voice cracked. You took everything. Now I've got nothing. So I watched. Just to see if you were really as perfect as you made it seem. You broke into our house. Mike didn't deny it. I needed to see it. Needed to know if she was real. That was the moment it hit me, this wasn't just revenge. It was obsession. Before things could turn worse, the police arrived, quietly, from the back. Mike froze. They took him in without a struggle, the weight of everything finally crashing down around him. Back at home, with everything finally settling, Al pulled out the velvet box. I was saving this for next week, he said, his voice low, eyes glassy. But after all this, I realized, what are we waiting for? He opened it. But inside, wasn't the ring. Just a note. You should have checked the cameras sooner. Al stared down at the empty velvet box for a long moment, the words on the note sinking in like ice. You should have checked the cameras sooner. My stomach flipped, but this time, it wasn't fear, it was clarity. Mike might have been taken in, but this whole thing was never just about him. It was about the cracks in our safety we never noticed, the blind spots we never thought someone would step into. Al finally looked up at me, and I could see it in his face, the mix of frustration, guilt, and that fierce protectiveness that never seemed to fade. I thought I had this under control, he said quietly. I thought I could keep you safe by holding the weight myself. I reached out, took his hand, and held it tight. Next time, I said, we carry it together. No more secrets. No more trying to fix things alone. He nodded slowly, and for the first time in days, the tension in his shoulders eased. Later that week, things started to calm down. Police confirmed Mike had acted alone. He'd been spiraling since his dismissal, and the photo, the message, it was all part of a desperate attempt to ruin what he thought Al didn't deserve. But with the case closed and the shop secure again, life started finding its rhythm. One evening, while folding laundry in the bedroom, still wearing that oversized work shirt, I found a small black box tucked between the blankets. I paused, heart skipping. This time, the ring was inside. Al appeared behind me, grinning. "I didn't lose it," he said. "I moved it. Right before everything happened. Guess I forgot where I hid it." He knelt beside the bed, more calm and sure than I'd ever seen him. "I don't need a perfect plan. I just need you." Tears welled up, not because I was surprised, but because the moment felt real. After everything, after the fear, the mystery, the tension, we were still standing. "Yes," I whispered. And just like that, everything we'd fought through made sense. To everyone watching this story, what did you feel when the box was empty? Did you see that twist coming? And more importantly, would you want to see what happens next? Let us know in the comments. If this story pulled you in, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more emotional, romantic suspense stories just like this.